Hello dear students, today we are going to start monopolistic competitive market structure. This market structure was given by Professor Chamberlain, and according to the characteristics of this market structure, this is a unique kind of market structure because it consists of the characteristics of two market structures, monopoly as well as perfect competition. That's why a name has been introduced as monopolistic competitive market structure. Monopolistic element is there, side by side competitiveness is there. So the first characteristic is it consists of the elements of both perfect competition and monopoly, right? There are a large number of buyers and sellers in the group. There is a group concept. Industry concept is not applicable in case of monopolistic competitive market structure. Products are differentiated, which are close substitutes. It means the consumer is capable enough to make a differentiation between the products. There is free entry and exit of firms in the group. The firms can freely enter or exit. Profit maximization is the goal of the firm in short as well as in the long run. This is the basic characteristic. Free and exit of the firms in the group, but that is applicable in the long run. Okay. Yes, this is applicable in the long run. Okay. Yes. Next is given prices of factors of production and given state of technology. It has been assumed here that the state of technology is given, means not going to change, and similarly the price of factors of production, labor and capital, traditionally we are taking into account. Theoretically we assume that production can be done with the help of capital and labor. So the prices of these factors are given. The firm knows its cost and demand curve with certainty. The firm is aware what is the situation of cost and what is the situation of demand curve. Demand and cost curves for all products are uniform throughout the group. It means in the group all firms have identical cost and revenue curves, right? Identical cost condition means all the firms having the same level of cost curves and the same shapes of the cost curves. Similarly, the level of revenue curve. So you can say the shape of revenue curve is the same in case of all firms. Each producer has some degree of monopoly power. Why we are calling it some degree? Because side by side there is a competition also. So the firms do not enjoy the complete controlling power on price, but yes, some degree of price controlling they have. Firms acts as a price maker. That's why it can be called that the firm can make the price of their product. So not this situation is not similar to the perfect competition, because in the perfect competition we say that firms are price maker, not price, sorry, the firms are price taker, not price maker. But in a monopolistic competitive the firms are price maker, but to some extent only. Let's focus on cost curve. Traditionally U-shaped cost curve, like average cost U-shaped, average variable cost also U-shaped, and MC curve is also U-shaped. So the basic relationship between AC, ABC and MC will remain the same. Their shape will also be the same. So there is one more important concept that is known as a selling cost concept. So cost incurred to increase the demand of a product. This is the cost which is responsible to increase the demand of a product. That's why in the total cost we add selling cost also. It means the total average cost also includes average selling cost. It affects the demand curve by shifting it in upward direction, because due to selling campaigning the demand of the product increases in the market, because the perception, or you can say the preference, or you can say the taste of the consumer goes to change with response to selling or you can say advertising campaigning of the company, and makes the product curve more inelastic by strengthening the preferences of the consumer for the advertised products. It includes all the expenses that are intended to promote the sales. So what are the expenses that we incur to promote our sales? It includes cost of advertisement, salesman's salary, expenses of sales department, margins granted to dealers, wholesalers and retailers, window displays and demonstration of new goods, and many other promotional activities are included. That's why it can be counted as a specific cost content. That's why it is the requirement of the firm to add the expenses of these factors into the total cost of manufacturing, right? Okay, U-shaped curve implying an optimum level of expenditure on sales, promotion, advertising. So selling cost curve is also U-shaped curve. U-shaped selling cost added to U-shaped production cost and yields a U-shaped average total cost. So that's why the shape of average total cost remains usual, that is U-shaped, and average combined cost curve. So average total cost is also called as average combined cost curve, which is equal to the summation of average production cost plus average selling cost. So selling cost has been added with production cost, now it becomes average total cost. Curve shows the relationship between the advertising expenditure and unit sales of the product of a firm. So the selling curve shows the relationship between advertising expenditure and unit sales of the product. Average selling cost shows selling cost per unit of output, right? Similarly, just the concept is similar to average cost, because average cost also indicates per unit cost. Similarly, average selling cost indicates per unit selling cost. Now let's focus on production cost versus selling cost. Production cost is the cost incurred to make a product, to transport it, and to have it available to consumers with given wants, right? What is selling cost? This is the cost of changing consumers wants or consumers preferences, right? Next is product differentiation and demand curve. Product differentiation is another unique feature of this kind of market structure. There are two types of product differentiations: real product differentiation and artificial, or you can say fancied product differentiation. Real product differentiation is basically when inherent characteristics of the products are different. For example, difference in smell, taste, quality of inputs, etc. It means real product differentiation is related to inherent qualities of the product, right? Internal features of the product. And artificial means when products are basically the same, yet the consumer is persuaded via advertising, good salesmanship, packaging, and other selling activities that the products are different. For example, difference in design, shape, size, brand name, packaging. These are the external attributes of the product on the basis of which the consumer can differentiate the products. So product differentiation creates brand loyalty of the consumer and gives rise to the demand. That is AR curve, which is highly elastic and slopes downward to the right. Why we are calling that the demand curve here is highly elastic? Because it is not perfectly elastic, because we are not talking about perfect competition. And but yes, because of some degree of competition is there, because that's why the elasticity of average revenue curve is slightly higher. Okay, slightly higher in comparison to monopoly. Concept of industry and the group. Industry is basically a group of firms producing a homogeneous product, but here we are talking about differentiated products, so industry concept is not applicable here. And group is a group of firms producing closely related commodities called a product group. That's why there are differentiated products, the firms are producing differentiated, they are not producing homogeneous product. That's why there is a group concept applicable. Now let's focus on short-term equilibrium of the firm. The condition is the same as we already discussed. MC is equal to MR and slope of MC greater than the slope of MR. Per unit profit we can calculate by taking the difference between AR and EC. Total supernormal profit is equal to per unit profit multiplied by equilibrium output, right? So in this PPT, one graph has been shown which is clearly indicating short-term equilibrium of the monopolistic competitive firm. So as usual, we have two downward sloping curves. First is average revenue, or you can say demand curve. Second one is MR curve. With respect to these curves, we have drawn U-shaped average cost curve. This is average cost curve, and simultaneously U-shaped marginal cost curve, that is MC, which is intersecting this EC curve at its minimum point. Equilibrium point, MC is equal to MR. So MC is this much, MR this one. So equilibrium point is point J, that has been shown in the figure. When we extend this point towards x-axis, then we have quantity Qj, and when we extend this point in upward direction up to demand curve, then we have another point that is H, and at this point the price level is P star, right? So to calculate the profit, we have to take the difference between EC and AR. So at this equilibrium level, at this line, at point H, AR lies, and AC lies at point R. So this is the per unit you can say revenue. So when we multiply this revenue with the total output, so we have the total profits because revenue is greater than cost. Okay. So there is one more thing that we have shown here. From the minimum point of AC, we have drawn a vertical straight line and indicating that QM, that is the monopoly output, right? This is monopoly output because not you can say this is the optimum output actually. So in this market condition, it is not possible for the firm to operate at the minimum point of AC. It is very difficult for the firm to achieve AC because um, in case of monopoly and monopolistic competition, it has been said that the firms are not actually firms do not actually fully utilize their resources. They actually underutilize their resources. They are always having the excess capacity. So when we compare this equilibrium position with the minimum point of AC position of output, so we have the difference between them, and this difference is known as excess capacity. Okay. So this is the long run equilibrium of the firm. MCMR AR is equal to AC must be there because in the long run only normal profits can be there. Long run equilibrium with price competition, less elastic or proportional or actual demand curve. There are two types of demand curves. This is the actual demand curve, means price fall by a firm is followed by all the rival firms simultaneously. So actual demand curve exhibits this kind of attitude, or you can say this kind of reaction pattern of rival firms with respect to the price change by a firm. Second one is perceived or expected or anticipated demand curve. Price fall by a firm is followed by only a few rival firms simultaneously. Right, so there is a minor difference between these two curves, and the point of intersection of both demand curves shows the price level and output. It has been shown. We can focus on this part. This is yes, this is the long run equilibrium situation that has been shown here, and perceived demand curve is denoted by small d small d. This is this downward sloping line basically is the perceived demand curve, that is denoted by small d, right? And corresponding to this we have one more demand curve, that is proportional demand curve, denoted by capital D. So proportional demand curve is steeper, but perceived demand curve is highly elastic as compared to proportional demand curve, because perceived demand curve is based on, as we already discussed here. So perceived demand curve is the price fall by a firm followed by other firms. So whenever the firms are ready to follow the price cut or the price fall, then elasticity will be more, right? So in this case, so that's why perceived demand curve is flatter than proportional demand curve. Okay. Okay, now long run average cost curve, because we are talking about long run equilibrium, so LAC curve has been drawn, LMC correspondingly has been drawn. So when we talk about equilibrium point, LAC curve is touching just a minute, MC is equal to MR. Yes, when we focus on equilibrium point, MC must be equal to MR. So MC curve is cutting MR curve. This is the MR at point this, and at this the quantity of output is QE, right? So E is the point of equilibrium corresponding to this, and price is PE. This is the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity, right? Now suppose a firm increases the price of its product. Suppose firm increases the price of the product, so what will happen? The proportional demand curve will be the same, but there will be a change in perceived demand curve, and the perceived demand curve will shift in downward direction. Now it will take the position equal to D1. It will move on this line and it will shift in downward direction, and correspondingly it will touch at point this, and corresponding to this point the marginal revenue is here, and this is the demand curve, and say just a minute, this is the equilibrium point LEC, and Okay, so we have to focus only on equilibrium point, because other comparison has been done with reference to excess capacity concept, right? So what will happen if the some firm, if an individual firm increases the price from PE to P1, so what will happen, the some other firms will also follow this price, and your perceived demand curve will shift in downward direction from dt to d1, and it will touch the long run equilibrium at point E. So in the long run, due to the reaction pattern of the firm, final equilibrium will be settled down at point E, and the firm will be operating at the price PE and the quantity QE. So this is the long run. So this is the long run equilibrium of the firm, right? So let's focus on Chamberlain's excess capacity concept. This concept was given by Chamberlain. Right, Chamberlain has compared two equilibrium situations. One in there is a demand curve basically. Two demand curves we have, perceived demand curve and proportional demand curve we have. When we talk about long run average cost curve, then there is a shifting in proportional demand curve, and it is touching LAC at point E. So this is the equilibrium point at which this is the output QE, but this output but at this point the demand curve is touching LAC curve at its falling portion, right? Another combination is the point at which Q1, that is the Q1 output, which is the minimum point of which is a combination of the original situation of the proportion demand curve, and third one output combination is QC. QC is the minimum point, means the perfect competitive market structure situation, which lies in the minimum point of LEC. So after making a comparison, what we found that the distance between QE and Q1, distance between QE and Q1, which has been represented by dotted line, this gap is known as the excess capacity according to Chamberlain, right? But when we compare with the perfect competition, we have one more output combination, that is QC. So according to perfect competition, if we want to utilize our resources optimally, like a perfect competitive market structure, so the excess capacity can be increased from QE Q1 to QE QC, right? And lastly, we have make a comparison between perfect competition and monopolistic competitive market structure. In perfect competition, large number of buyers and sellers are there, same large number of buyers and sellers are there. In perfect competition, we produce homogeneous product, but in monopolistic competition, differentiated products are there. There is free entry and exit. There is also free entry exit. Profit maximization goal in short run and long run. There is always profit maximization goal. Perfect knowledge about the market. There is also perfect knowledge about market. Concept of industry applies in perfect competition, but there is group behavior that applies in monopolistic competition. Firm as a price taker or quantity adjuster in case of perfect competition, but here the firms are price maker and decision maker. The price is given for all the firms in case of perfect competition, but there is some control over the price in case of monopolistic competition. Average revenue is perfectly elastic, or you can say horizontal straight line, and it becomes equal to MR and price. Okay, so demand becomes equal to MR and price. But in case of monopolistic competition, AR is highly elastic, that is downward sloping, not straight line, not horizontal straight line. So MR is horizontal straight line in case of perfect competition, but MR is also downward sloping. It is steeper and lies below AR curve in case of monopolistic competitive market. Selling or advertising cost does not exist in case of perfect competitive market structure, but yes, these costs exist in monopolistic competitive market structure. Only production cost is considered in case of perfect competition, and selling cost with production cost, say ACC, means average combined cost is considered. Under short run equilibrium situation of perfect competitive firm, MC is equal to MR and slope of MC greater than slope of MR. Here under SR equilibrium, MC is equal to MR and slope of MC greater than MR. So same condition prevailing in case of monopolistic competitive market. Under LR equilibrium, MC is equal to MR, price becomes equal to AC and price becomes equal to MC. But here under long run equilibrium, MC is equal to MR, but price is equal to AC and also greater than MC. In case of perfect competition, there is always optimal allocation of resources, but in case of monopoly or monopolistic competition, there is always underutilization of resources. In case of perfect competition, there is no excess capacity, but yes, in case of monopoly or monopolistic competition, there is always excess capacity. Price is lower in case of perfect competition, but price is higher in case of monopolistic competition, slightly higher. Output level is higher in case of perfect competition, but output level is lower in case of monopolistic competition. There is no social waste in case of perfect competition, but yes, it involves social waste in case of monopolistic competitive market. There is no variety of products in perfect competition because the products are homogeneous, so no variety can be introduced. But yes, there is the variety of products, so you can see the products are available in significant quantity and variety with special features because product differentiation is applicable here, right? So variety of products available in case of monopolistic competitive market. So this was an elaborated idea about the theory of monopolistic competition given by Chamberlain. So today we have discussed. So we will focus on another chapter in our next video. Till then, goodbye.